Oi, this is the Profanity Gnome, and I'm here to tell you that if you're under 13 years old, fuck off this video! Get the fuck off YouTube! Get your mama to get your dad's cock out of her ears and actually be a parent! This is for adults only! And for everybody else, enjoy the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below what you think, you fuck buckets! We're finally here! We're finally here! We're finally here! We're finally here!
Yes, but please calm down, Master Gent. But we have finally returned to your homeland of the Animaniacs fandom.
Yep, and I can't wait to show off to everyone, including Mom and Dad, that I've become just as big of stars as my brothers and sister! Woohoo!
This is Animaniacs Reboot 2020 episode 12?
Well, the episode begins a little bit differently this time than the others. Instead of it being Warner, Pinky and the Brain, and a miscellaneous episode, it's miscellaneous episode, Pinky and the Brain, and Warner's. So, I guess that's different enough. Any rate, so the episode begins with the Warners, and Dot is angry, upset, frustrated, and completely lost her mind because she got a zit. And she explains her anger in song. In fact, the whole few minutes this is on, it's all in song. The other brothers try to comfort her, but she's too depressed because she has a zit. She's supposed to be the cute one. She's not allowed to have a zit. And it doesn't help that Yakko and Wacko are just, well, not helping really. But then it's discovered that the zit is sentient and he ain't too happy either. He's unhappy that a dot is on his butt. And yes, he says that, and I quote. At first, the zit and dot hate each other, but then they just not hate each other anymore through song and love each other. And we get this weird image. Yeah, let this haunt your nightmares. And so, now that they're best friends, they just start doing things together. And then it ends, because it's only lasts a week. Go episode, I guess? I don't know. Oh man, it feels like forever. I can't wait to tell everybody about our adventures so far.
This is probably going to be the biggest welcome back party that has ever been seen. Oh, I'm not going to be sad on this.
Meow.
Oh, did I just hear somebody's hungry?
Yeah, but it's only Leslie. She's always hungry.
That's not an excuse. Everybody out. We're stopping for pizza.
Well, can't argue with that logic.
So, any particular reason why you're stalling?
So the next episode is Pinky and the Brain. Their latest conquest for the world involves them going to Arabia. And what is exactly Brain's plan? Well, I don't know, but apparently it involves the horses. How, why, and what does his plan entail to involve just a bunch of high-class horses? I don't know, and it's not important, for Pinky gets them caught. They're taken before the Queen, who is rather uninterested in anything because of how bored she is. So Brain manipulates the situation by saying he'll tell her a story if she lets them live. And so he does his own weird parody version of the Tale of the 40 Thieves. He throws his own few twists into it, but overall it keeps true to his, well, vision. The princess, queen bitch person, who actually is fairly attractive, seems to enjoy the story well enough, and then Pinky takes over, and she enjoys it a hell of a lot more, because Pinky has a much more, let's just say, rich imagination. But then Brain starts poking holes in Pinky's story, but the Queen doesn't care, because she's enjoying it. So rather than try to fix things, Brain just starts telling another story, this time about Aladdin. Again, same scenario. Pinky interjects on the story and creates his own version that's crazy, and the Queen enjoys it, and hates Brain's storytelling. Then Brain just decides to give up and let Pinky tell the next story, which is about Sinbad. But it already doesn't make sense, but it doesn't matter because the Queen's enjoying it, and I think that's all that matters. But Brain, once again, interjects, and the Queen has finally had enough, and kicks Pinky and Brain out, and they run for their lives as they concoct their next plan to take over the world. We have arrived!
Listen, young Master Gent. There's something important I think you should know before you go inside a... Gent?
I can't wait to see the look on Wacko's face!
Young Master, hold on a second! Anybody else think that the grass is a little bit long?
Yeah, somebody really needs to pay the gardener.
Young Master, if you would just calm down for just a second, there's something I need to tell you.
What's wrong, Rhino Butler?
There's something I needed to tell you a very, very long time ago.
Well, the final bit of the episode is Jesus H. Tap Dancing Christ. I am afraid of what this episode holds with a title like that. So, at any rate, the Warners decide to go to the movies to see the latest rock film. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, to be specific, and we finally get a nice cartoon caricature of a actual famous actor. Yeah, we haven't seen those much this season. It's all been politicians and politics. It's nice to see that they're finally going back to their roots and making fun of other famous people. But before Dot has a chance to take her seat, she's interrupted by the real winner of the Thunder Thighs Challenge. And since this is the last pair of 3 seats, she tries to ask the guy to move, but he ignores her. And then he does the greatest and most terrible atrocity known to man. No, forget the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Forget the religious purges in the Middle East. Forget all the conquests of Europe, Asia, and forget every single bit of horrible human nature known to man, for this man commits the ultimate sin. He manspreads. Okay, this bit is boring me. Animaniacs, what the hell is this? Are you serious? You have a decent setup and you go for manspreading? Like, that's the most non-issue thing I think I've ever seen. This guy isn't even really doing anything. He's not acting out. He's not antagonizing the Warners in whatsoever. He's just trying to enjoy the movie. And they purposely go out of their way to try to make this guy pay, even though he's not doing anything. The Warners are in the wrong here. And that seems to be a growing trend throughout this entire series. The Warners have been unjustifiably attacking innocents. That is not how the Warners behave. They could have gone many different directions with this. Maybe he's just a loud ass. Maybe he's on his phone. Maybe he's crunching down on candy too much. Maybe he's just being a jerk for no reason. But no, they go for the most non-issue thing they could think of. And the Warners completely overreact. How? Well, first they try to get the guy to close his legs, but good luck closing Thunder Thighs right in there, so the Warners come up with another plan. What's the plan this time? Well, they decide to convince the left side of the theater and the right side of the theater to hate each other so much that they manage to break up couples, break up families, and cause huge riots and anger that push the man's legs together, and they can finally enjoy the movie, right? Because that's what's the most important. The Warners enjoying the movie. Not the fact that they cause families to get divided, breaking up couples, and harassing a guy that did nothing to them. You know, I don't think the real problem here is the manspreader. I think the real problem here is that the Warners have been inciting violence against the left and the right for no reason other than gaining something out of it. You know, I think that's the real message of this episode. But the Warner's problems aren't over even after they get what they want, for on the bus ride home, here comes Thunderthighs asking if that seat over there is taken. And the cycle begins anew. And that was Animaniacs, episode 12 of the reboot, and it is easily tied for the worst episode of the Animaniacs 2020 reboot so far, right next to Bun Control episode, because I'm not letting that one go. The zit thing was harmless enough, albeit it wasn't fun, it wasn't really entertaining, it was just Dot with a zit. They could have done a lot with that concept, but instead they went for what they did in Dave the Barbarian. Yeah, look up that episode, it's actually pretty good. They do it a lot better than the Animaniacs did. But as far as I'm concerned, it was harmless enough. The Pinky and the Brain episode was honestly pretty lazy. We never hear why Brain needs the horses, and while the whole thing with the Queen latches onto Pinky rather than Brain stories, it does seem pretty standard and fun, I feel like this is a thinly veiled way of saying don't criticize things that other people enjoy. I think that's a pretty negative way of looking at things. You should always criticize something, even if someone enjoys it. Find loopholes and plot holes, and maybe find ways to improve the craft, because there's always a way they could get around something. Always find ways to improve. Always find ways to point out a flaw, but not necessarily in a negative light. Criticism is good for improvement. Critical thinking is necessary, especially when it comes to episodes like this. And then we get the Warner's half of the episode, which is what critical thinking really needs to be applied. Of all the directions they could have taken the Warner's going to the movies, maybe dealing with crying kids or parents who refuse to control their offspring, people who are crunching or being noisy or talking on their cell phones, or maybe they're dealing with an asshole of a manager who won't let them see the movie because they're underage. They could have been any of these directions, but instead they went for the most non-issue issue possible, and they portrayed the guy as not even being aware he's doing it. I mean, if they would have just asked the guy to move over a seat, then maybe you could have an argument that he's an asshole or a douchebag. But he doesn't do anything. They don't go that route. They immediately go to violence, which isn't something that's in the Warner's nature. They don't antagonize somebody unless they've been wronged, and this guy really hasn't wronged them. And the message being incite violence on the left and the right side of the theaters? Can no one else see a problem with today's political climate by saying a message like that? Can no one see that? This episode was garbage. I don't like using that word, but it was garbage. I would say 1 out of 10. And that's only because of the Zit episode. Can't believe I had to say that the Zit episode saved it from being a 0. Easily tied for the worst episode so far. So with that being said, we're the Cartoon Gentlemen, Vintage Kings, organizers, and see you next time.
Man, do the Warners just not have any maids or service or at all? Because there's dust and cobwebs all over the place. And oh, Jen, what's wrong?
Nothing at all. If you excuse me, I gotta go somewhere, just by myself.
Jen, wait! What the hell happened here?
What in the name of Davy Jones' locker is going on here?
This is all my fault.
Okay, you got about 5 seconds to start making sense before I start sort of... What's this?
What the hell is this? Dear Gent, please look after the house. Me and your father have decided to go on a world-long cruise around to enjoy our formative years. Please do not distract your brothers and sisters from their important work. Love, Mom and Dad.
Meow. So what, they're not here?
Yeah, but that doesn't explain the meltdown from the wait a nanotick. Look at the date. That was just before I got dismissed and came back to the Warner fandom.
Yes, I received that note of the day in question. The young master has always had a complicated relationship with his parents, always being pushed aside in favor of his other siblings. And while I don't doubt that they loved them all equally, it was clear which ones they favored. There is no question in my mind that if Gent had ever gotten that letter, then unfortunately he would never have left in the first place.
Meow.
No, what I'm saying is that Gent's parents never even realized he had left.
Heal me, I'm heartsick, I'm hungry.